bitmain Antminer S19 was a truly worthy successor, albeit not a direct successor, to the Antminer S9, right? So long story short is the S9 was a unbelievably legendary Bitcoin miner. I am running about 20 S19 generation Bitcoin miners on my personal mining farm. I'm Vosk, this is the VoskCoin YouTube channel, and here's the deal. 2026, it's over for S19s. It's over. If you're looking up, like, is it too late to buy a bitmain S19 miner? Is it worth it? The profitability, this, that, whatever. It's over. Unless Bitcoin just goes ballistic and is trading at like $300,000 per coin. To be honest, even at $200,000 per coin, it's probably not going to be worth it, especially with the runway they have. And, is that kind of price sustainable in the medium term? So let's dig into this. And the S19 was largely an absolute stud of a Bitcoin mining rig. If you bought it at the top of the 2021 cycle, though, you would have been paying $10,000 per machine. Now you could buy these for $100 per machine bulk. You can also order them brand new from the manufacturer with a warranty, for what that's worth, and we've got other videos on that, for several $100s. They're trading all over eBay and things like Facebook Marketplace. Hey, you want to buy a mining rig? Do you want a pretty good price on it and pretty fast shipping? Then you may be looking for ASIC Marketplace. Click our link in the video description below to not only support our channel, but support yourself with the coupon code we've got right next to it. But the bottom line is, these are very easy to find and grab and get these days, from new to like new to used and heavily used. I got a lot of Bitcoin hash rate, at least I think so, compared to myself historically. And I'm knocking on 10 petahash per second, the door of it. Didn't say that right. Most of these miners are on my farm, some of them are hosted. But unfortunately, a lot of my hardware is previous generation. And it's like, I need to freaking turn it off previous generation. And I just deployed several more mining rigs and got some stuff fixed up, some stuff sent off to repair and whatever. But if you look at my rewards here, I'm hitting at about $400 a day of Bitcoin mined when all my machines are working right. Granted, I have 3 S21 XPs down right now. 1 on the way back from a repair, 2 on the way to be repaired. High failure rates. Bitmain says that my S21 XPs are failing because I put Brains OS on them. Also got hit by lightning. That didn't help anything on my mining farm. And some machines were broken after that. So I'm not here to point fingers at anybody, but they did void my warranty because I had Brains OS on it. But yeah, right. So here's the deal: 0.0035 BTC, $400 a day. That sounds exciting. That sounds incredible. But let me enlighten you what my electricity bill looks like, right? $15,000 to $17,000 a month. So you may say, oh, dude, he's freaking swimming in it, right? $400 a month. That's crazy. That's 12 grand. Yeah, well, guess what? My electricity bill is more than that. Obviously, I'm running additional miners beyond this, so that's a whole different thing. But this is the overview. My worker names all ended up getting flipped over largely to the IP addresses when I did a bulk change of my miners. So it's a little hard to tell at a glance what we're working with. So let's go on a little quick tour of the VoskCoin mining farm and some of these build outs. At one point, the only way I was able to deploy more mining rigs was in the gray shed, and I hadn't really built it for air cooled at that time. So I started deploying more and more immersion mining solutions in there. It was really fun. It was really cool. It was really challenging. I learned a lot, and I made what I hope to be, lifelong friendships with the guys at BMA, Dennis and Colby, absolute studs, incredible guys. And depending on what you need, if you reach out to BMA, they may be able to help you on your mining journey. And they're local to me, so that's just been freaking awesome. But deploying all these different immersion mining solutions, and I would never do all these different systems unless you're really just looking for fun and challenges and a hobby aspect of this. I did because this is like my fantasy factory for mining. I wanted to test this and test that and see how this goes and so on. So the point being, though, is that until I had built out additional electrical infrastructure, which I did after that, and I rerouted things to maximize what I had, the only way I could deploy more stuff was in immersion. And the S19s did great overall in immersion systems. However, the S21 series, and can only assume the S23 because it's largely just an improved version of the S21 series, which is, you could say that about anything, but the build quality and the build aspects are much more similar. The S21 series and the S23 series, I'm pretty freaking sure, is and will be awful in immersion systems. So it's really pushed me back towards air cooling. And once you have problems in immersion, like you get this brand new miner, say it costs $5,000, you throw it in immersion, and maybe it's DOA or like just a freaking dud and it quickly fails from the factory. I find most of my mining rigs fail within a couple days if they're going to fail quickly. But just like that, you voided your warranty. I've gotten lucky a couple times. They said, oh, whatever, and just repaired it and sent it back. Other times I've gotten bills even though I was technically covered under warranty. And I get it. I'm not using it the way it was designed and sold as. So there's that aspect. But really, where I'm trying to get with all of this is I have all these different S19s, and most of them are in the immersion mining shed. So speed running some of these rigs and these different videos and builds over the years. Right, here's the T19. This is my worst miner by far. This is like just driving an old school Dodge Durango around. It is just an absolute gas guzzler, and it works. It works just fine. I have 4 S19K Pros. These are the best of the worst Bitcoin mining rigs I have from that generation, other than my S19 XP. My X19 XPs have not had great just long-term success rates. But the fog hashing B6D immersion system, not the C6. C6 is very good. The B6D did nuke a few miners, including one of my XPs. So, RIP. S19J Pro Plus 120 terahash per second version. And at one point, I think I had 13 S19J Pros 104s. We deployed 10 in one day. Which was really crazy, really cool, really exciting. Picked that up from a semi-local miner who had moved away from mining, and I got those for about $1,000 per machine. And they have made much more than $1,000 per machine for my electric utility, and I've mined some coin with them along the way, so that's cool. Right now, I have 9 of them still running here on my mining farm, and one of them I was removed from immersion and put back to air-cooled after I had repaired it. And the rest are still running in immersion systems. Then there's the S19 XP that I had mentioned. I have one of those running. I have an S19. I have another S19. I think that is a 90 terahash and a 95 or a 96 terahash version. And then there's also an S19 Pro. Yep, stick with me. All the same thing, but all different.
Same, but different.
The point being here, right, is I have these underclocked. I have them trying to run on more efficient settings. By and large, that has been accomplished. But let's pull a bunch of these up real quick, right? So these are a bunch of S19J Pros 104. Here are a couple of the S19s. We'll scroll up here, and here's the S19J Pro. Here's 3 of the Ks. And then we'll pull up the absolute gas guzzler to top this off, right? So there's a bunch of variables here, and we're just going to take quick measurements here from the dashboard. But you can see this is running at 28 watts, or 27, we'll be optimistic, 28 watts per terahash, underclocked to 2,246 watts. We go to the next one, and we can see that's running at 28. We go to the next one, 27 and a half, 28. And you're going to see that these are all going to be largely similar. Here's another S19J Pro. This one's reportedly doing 29 watts per terahash, 27 watts. But the difference there, though, is this is coming in a higher hash rate, 84 terahash, and this one's at about 80 terahash. Once again, 28, 29, lower hash rate here, worse efficiency, 90, 27. when we have 78 at 33, 34 watts per terahash. Ow, my electricity bill is hurting. S19J Pro Plus, 31 watts per terahash. Ow. Then we have S19K Pro, 23.5 watts per terahash. Nice. 23.5 watts per terahash. Nice. And that's not really all that great. Like my S21 XPs are doing 10 watts per terahash of efficiency better than that. Right here's this one's coming in at 25. And there's a lot of variance in the different systems these are in, along with the individual rigs, and even just not only the different systems, but their different locations. And some of these immersion systems, or even the wrong spot in an improperly set up air-cooled environment, can lead to them running hot and thus lower hash rate and less efficiency there. So T19 absolute gas guzzler here at 34 watts per terahash, even though it's underclocked. So this underclocking allowed me to run more gear with the same footprint, right? It's for what I was building, it was better for me to deploy 9 miners that I had, have them underclocked and a bit more efficient than to deploy 8, and they're all running on inefficient settings there. And then just as a quick contrast, we will take some of my S21 XPs here, like this one. I think this is one of my best ones. You can see that it's running at 13 watts per terahash, 276 terahash, so a bit above advertised performance. Here's another one running at 287, right? So that's some good bonus hash over 270 at 13 watts per terahash of efficiency, pulling a bit more power though. And are these things contributing towards failure rates, and bitmain is right to cast that blame, or are they just punishing me for using aftermarket firmware? A discussion for another time. So my electricity rate was really 7.5 cents when I built most of this and planned it and pushed out. So then it kind of was trending towards like 8 cents, and that was the more conservative way to look at it. But due to recent fuel surcharges, they've jacked my rate, an entire cent, in a way a bit more. So 9 cents per kilowatt hour is actually rounding down, even though I've done a lot to improve my efficiency, get to better electricity rates with the utility, which lead to a lower cost per kilowatt hour. But 9 cents is my absolute reality. I'm getting billed at 9 cents per kilowatt hour. And now we come down this list and we see things that are 34 terahash a second, right? At full power, that's losing me $2 a day. We look at something that's 27.5, right? Like this hydro, that's really what my S19J Pro 104s are hitting at. So like, although they're out of the box, technically 29.5, a bit more efficient here, but 27.5. And looking at this power, right? We could basically put 2 inside of there. So, and if you get what I'm saying, right? Because this is a pro hydro, it's not exactly the same, but what we're looking at, the hash rate doesn't really matter. It's the power consumption and the efficiency. So a lot of these S19J Pros, I'll put it back here on screen as I click through these. You can see the power draw. So we can say that, it's around 2,400, 500 watts, 2,200, there's some variance there. But these are costing me about $1 a day for 2 units, or like minus 50 cents a day. And as I go up this list, even the S19K Pro at 23 joules or watts per terahash of efficiency is barely in the green. And I've been sitting here crunching the numbers and taking a really critical look at my mining farm as if I was an advisor to myself and not just addicted to the grind, a believer chasing the dream. These 20 rigs, they lose me, $10 to $20 a day. I'm also running a lot of systems for them that's using additional power, that there's associated bills for that. Forget everything else, even just the electrical charge there, right? So if I look at the electrical charge on that, we could say they're losing me $20 a day over what they're earning. That's $7,300 a year. That's a lot. That is a lot of money. So let's say like even underclocked, that these rigs are costing me about $5 a day to run, right? I'm just talking total electric cost, not the profitability or the total loss of, profit minus electric, like what's my actual realized revenue here. So 5 times 20 times 365 is once we factor in running these additional immersion systems, just the miners 36.5, but realistically it's costing me about $40,000 annually to run these 20 S19 miners in this capacity. $40,000. And I'm breaking even, and I operate as a business. There's a lot of benefits, right? I have hardware write-offs. I have electrical like expenses and other things that are just very beneficial. And I have some very profitable pieces to my business that kind of help tie all this together. And I have my more profitable mining rigs that earn much more than they burn. For example, just the modernized S21 XP series that I've been modernizing my fleet with, but at great cost, to be very clear. And the point is though, like with the way they're running, it's not like they're like, oh yeah, it's a lot of work for this and that, but they're making $1 a day. No, they're like losing me 50 cents to $1 a day. So how long is that worth it? And how much does Bitcoin have to go up to make this worthwhile in retrospect? And at what point do I just turn the shit off and just take that money and execute a well-timed Bitcoin buy? Right? I obviously believe in this stuff. That's why I'm doing it. So if I'm going to throw 40 grand at this, why not throw it at a 40 grand well-timed Bitcoin buy? It pains me to say that. Or take that $40,000 I was going to spend no matter what and invest $40,000 into top-of-the-line current generation high-efficiency Bitcoin miners. Here's my dilemma on sunk cost and sunk time. Like, I have a mining farm. I have everything I ever dreamed of like, dude, like I got rack space, I got air cooled, I got AC HVAC environments, I have immersion shed. I got it all, right? Except the hydro cabinet, but that's really built for 3-phase, and that's a electrical development that eludes me because my utility wants $125,000 to pull a 3-phase out to me, and then I'm still going to spend probably $100,000 getting it all set up, wired, pulled, and all the other things that add up very, very quickly and get very, very expensive fast. So it just doesn't make sense. I mean, like full bore, this machine loses $1.20 a day right now, and at the time of recording this, Bitcoin is trading at $113,000 per coin. And it sucks and it's sobering, but it's not really new. I mean, look at the 3-month chart and then this is calculated at 8 cents. Let's make this worse, or maybe it was already 115. Well, either way, I look back in the last month, right? It's not much different. I go back 2 months. Better, but still bad. I go back 3 months. It's still negative going back 3 months almost every day. You contrast that with the S21 XPs that I've been using to modernize a lot of my Bitcoin mining fleet. Even at 9 cents, I hate that rate, pissing me off. I'm still earning a lot more than I'm burning in electricity, right? 270 terahash, whopping 3645 watt power consumption, 13.5 joules or watts per terahash of Bitcoin mining efficiency, $6.26 of daily profitability. And when I added a lot of these and things were looking better and it was a lot more exciting, these were pulling closer to $20 a day in Bitcoin profit after the electric costs here are like $10 like several days, and then well over $8 for a long time. But the difference between like 110 and 120,000 BTC is makes a big impact on Bitcoin miners, and major publicly traded Bitcoin mining farms continue to build, continue to deploy. I mean, we talked a lot about BitDeer recently, and disclosure, I own the stock after doing enough research on it. They're building top of the line Bitcoin miners and deploying them themselves. I mean, how much do you think that cost them? A newsflash, not much. Talk about a unique advantage. You need to have a unique advantage in business to be successful. And the only unique advantage about my mining farm is just going to be my gosh dang tenacity, my experience, and the way that I can leverage the VoskCoin YouTube channel around it. But that advantage is dwindling, is becoming less and less. So I'm looking at solar, right, and I'm thinking like, man, I think I just flip the immersion shed off, take the gear that's still in the green, and run one immersion system that's wired to a different electric service, and then convert anything to air cooled if I need to. I don't have enough room in that tank. I think I have basically 7 miners that earn more than they burn that run in the immersion shed that has like 30 something immersed miners in it. I don't know, here's the math on screen. And then I turn around and build a solar array and wire that up and just have that shed run when the sun's up. And I need to figure that out, but it can be done. And at that point, I just need to pay off the solar investment that I'm going to do. And I'm going to do as much of it myself that I can, if not all of it, simply just because I need to based on the returns and the pricing of everything. And just have to make my money back for the solar. Then I get a real life money cheat code on sunk cost hardware, infrastructure, and at that point solar too. But I wonder, is that the best way to spend my time and money? Like, I mean, would I just make more money putting that into the market and making some trades and doing research and everything else? Because I mean, the market's been lucrative the past year. It's been lucrative. And it's like, am I busting my ass for pennies over here in the corner while everyone's just buying stocks and getting fucking rich? I love this stuff, don't get it twisted. But I could do this on a much smaller capacity, still get a lot of the fun and enjoyment, and not have as much financial risk and burden with all this. Also, my mining farm has gotten so big, if there's any issue, I gotta zip over there and I gotta take care of it. Sure, I live at my mining farm, so not the biggest deal, but if you're on your couch at 9 o'clock and you're just trying to watch the new episode of Spy Family and then go to bed, and then that happens, that's not what you want. My mining farm's pretty great, pretty solid, pretty stable, but it's not perfect. And one of the questions, rightfully so, we say, well, why don't you just host the gear if it's costing you so much, right? So we partnered up with Terra Hosting, and you may know some of the guys behind it, like Hawk. He's got his channel and he does a bunch of stuff. But they can source you miners, they can run your own miners, you can send them there. I've got gear running there too, right? And no special deal, no nothing. Even just off the shelf for one unit, I'd be in technically at a lower electricity rate. I have over 50 miners, so I could say, for example, send all my stuff there and get closer to 8 cents per kilowatt hour, right? And so like I would be running all my gear, it'd be someone else's problem, and I would be spending less money to do it. Like now I do everything, I run everything. And this is also probably just based off the miner. I'm also running all the mining farm infrastructure. You think those huge fans on the digital shovel that like they're free to run? No. They suck up some juice running. And then there's fans on all of the different immersion systems, and then the nanopods got fans, and I got fans to just get airflow running through the immersion shed to keep the general temperature down, because things get heat soaked, and that leads to efficiency loss, which leads to less hash rate and higher electricity bills. So I know I took a very focused look on the S19 from me and my personal point of view, but I mean, that's the real world mining profitability. That's the real world mining data. And that's the reality of this. So it's not really great news. It's not really a surprise either. But this is the most painful hardware transition I've ever had, because my mining footprint, has always been smaller historically. So this is the most gear that's basically just becoming obsolete. And sure, we've had a lot of turnover on mining rigs, like on the shitcoin division, especially Caspa, which had a just insane free fall of like mining profitability from literally millions of dollars to just a couple $100,000, but then insane amount of hardware deployed on that network. And then obscure altcoins that were highly profitable for a short period, and then a bunch of hash came on the network, all that stuff. But the coin just completely dumped, obliterated. But this is Bitcoin that we're talking about, and this isn't the only hardware I'm taking a very cold hard look at. And I don't know. I just, any way I slice this, I don't know how it makes sense. I don't know why I would keep running these, and it sucks to say that. And I could sell some gear, I could liquidate some stuff like that. But I have like no time every day, so I can't just be sitting here undunking rigs, getting them cleaned up, making sure they're good to go. If I sell something to someone, like I need to know that it's good to go. I want them to have a good experience dealing with me in any capacity, whether that's watching the videos, right, or buying some used gear from us or whatever. So things are getting a little better slowly with the little dude. So maybe Alexa will get a little bit more time to help me with some of these endeavors soon. I don't know, TBD, we'll see. But bottom line is the S19 is worthless unless you have free electricity, or you're going to run it with solar, like you're going to generate your own electricity, or you somehow have an insanely low electricity rate. because you know when you crunch these numbers, right? I go all the way down to 5 cents per kilowatt hour. You know, I'm making $2 a day with that machine, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty interesting. For you know what you can get these machines for, 6 cents. Nice. 7 cents, barely turning a profit, and this is more of where I was for a while. But 8 cents, it starts to be like, are you sure about this? And 9 cents, you know, you got to take a look in the mirror and be like, what you doing? And that's I've been looking in the mirror this week, and it sucks. And you know, I didn't expect my rates to get jacked like this. And it's frustrating to be so beholden to an electric utility. And I may have a big electric footprint, but I'm also just a small fry in the grand scheme of things. I mean, they're building billion-dollar data centers near me. You think they care about me? They do not. They bankrolled me, and they're laughing. They're laughing all the way to their little board meeting. So hey, I'm Vosk. You're on the VoskCoin YouTube channel, and I know I've said this on a couple videos recently. If you're an incredible subscriber, but cue the Gordon clip. Shut it down.
Shut it down.
10 seconds of Tails. We're going to cue those clips too. She's our super cutie pup. She kickstarted the VoskCoin YouTube journey, and I appreciate you if you subscribe and you enjoy the content. It makes this journey all the worthwhile, and I don't regret anything. And this is just the turning of a page. And instead of quitting or backing off or whatever, I've been spending a lot of money modernizing the fleet. I'm going to keep chasing the dream, and I hope that the newer hardware will last for a long time. And it's a significant efficiency jump, really almost 3 times as efficient as my worst S19 hardware, but all of 2 times as efficient of most of my S19 mining hardware. I also believe, of course, in the upside of Bitcoin, so a lot of this pressure would be relieved if Bitcoin went to, like, say, $200,000 per coin. Will it though? I don't know. Multi-trillion-dollar asset already. I hope it does, and I believe it should, especially given the state of the times. So hey, appreciate you, and good luck out there.